generation, two Prose bros are born, chosen to watch every episode of Buffy and tell you what they think about them. This is the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. I'm Eddie Cruz.
Yo, I'm Geoff.
And we have a special guest, a specialist of guests. That's not a word, right? Nah, fuck it.
Specialist?
Specialist? She's a specialist. She's a Buffy specialist.
Yeah.
Lluvia Silva.
Hi, guys.
We invited Lluvia because she's a super big Buffy fan. And also because she's a really good friend of mine.
Thank you, guys.
And an acquaintance of yours, Geoff?
We're friends, are we?
No, I think you guys are only acquaintances. She's only my friend.
She's like, I fucking hate Geoff.
She's like, it's hard sitting next to him right now. Lluvia, tell us how you got into Buffy.
I used to work at a coffee shop years ago, and everyone that worked there was super into Buffy at the same time. I just never got into it until I worked with you, Eddie, and finally I decided to give it a chance, and I watched it every day of my life.
Every day of your life for like one summer?
Yeah, like
I remember being
weeks.
so excited that you were into it because the only other person I had to talk about it with is essentially Geoff and a friend of mine that I never see anymore. So like it was nice to be like, oh, I can recap and like relive how it is to watch it for the first time through a good friend of mine.
You make it sound like that friend is dead, and that friend is not dead.
I just didn't want to say her name. I didn't mean to sound like she's dead. I hope she comes on the podcast, but I mean, it's hard to get together anymore.
Yeah.
We're old as shit. It's hard to hang out once you get old. It's not like, it's the reason why we don't have a band anymore, because it'd be impossible to like practice. This is hard enough, and This is just like 2 hours.
So, Lluvia, you've seen the entire series, right?
Yeah,
Have you seen Angel?
No, remember?
No?
Oh, I don't like Angel.
Is it just because it's like a tragedy compared to Buffy?
Everything's so dark, and I think I was going through like a hard time when I started watching it, and just felt
dirty.
Yeah.
No, the whole thing is that, like the first episode, he doesn't save the girl.
Well, it's weird that we invited you on for the Angel episode, so.
Right? This is not so dark though. He's still kind of smirky douchebag Angel still.
Less so.
Less so, definitely less so than he was in the last one.
It's my favorite episode of him, or one of my favorites, just because he's not an asshole.
It's an origin story.
Yeah.
Even though he does kind of come off as an asshole. Let's get into what happens this episode. Jeffrey?
So this is another episode that involves Angel and the Master. We're off, at least for this one, the Monster of the Week episodes, which are kind of hit or miss for me. We see the Master, and he sent the three after Buffy.
And the three are three vampires that look like they're out of Highlander. One of them looks like The Undertaker. The other one looks like Danny Trejo Jr., because there's already been two Danny Trejo vampires. And the other one, I'm guessing, looked kind of like Vince Vaughn, but they didn't show him that much.
I was thinking that one vampire kind of looked like Chris Lambert from The Highlander. So
yeah,
when you said that,
I called him Undertaker, because he looked like The Undertaker to me. He had a mullet.
So The Undertaker,
Vince Vaughn and Danny Trejo come after Buffy.
Yeah, we go after Buffy.
They do a piss poor job too.
They do, but Buffy's really afraid of them for some reason.
I guess they hold her down, and that's kind of overpowering her. But I mean, once again, we have this like Buffy super strong sometimes, and then sometimes she's super meek. She doesn't have a power level that stays consistent at all throughout this show.
I think she was kind of distracted too. She was just going home thinking about
angels.
Boys.
Big angel boners.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's thinking about him. She's distracted, gets attacked by the three, and then Angel comes in and not really saves the day, but punches a vampire in the face. They all run away back to Buffy's house, where she invites him in.
Well, subtly, like it's completely kind of off screen.
Yeah.
He just kind of runs in after her, but if you like, we replayed it, and she says something inaudible, very lightly, maybe like a quick like, "Come in." Oh no.
I would like it better if they overdubbed that with like some like country accent, like "Come if you're coming."
Or like, get to the chopper. Like, just like out of nowhere. She's just like Arnold Schwarzenegger for a quick second. So they can't come in. They established that rule of like vampires have to be invited in order to come into the house, which is used later on.
So they're in. Angel spends the night. There's that scene where there's this chemistry-ish between them. You can definitely see Buffy super into Angel. Angel, I don't know. I'm not so much. I kind of want to hang on this scene for a second.
I gotta say that she seemed a lot more into him this episode than she did any other episode before this. It was kind of like out of nowhere that she's like, oh my god, I can't stop thinking about Angel. It wasn't a slow burn up into her being really, really enamored by him. It was just kind of all of a sudden, oh my god, I love Angel.
And it's fine when you're watching week to week, because it seems like you kind of forget, and it's like, oh, there must be so much that's going on in between. But when you watch them like marathon Netflix style, I think it's like, oh, okay, well, that happens out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was really fast.
So should we hang on this moment? Because I kind of wanted to talk about the chemistry between Buffy and Angel, or should we move through the synopsis?
No, let's hang on it.
Okay. So what did you guys feel about them? Because like I said right now, Buffy seems super into Angel. Angel is kind of a smirky prick right now.
I want to know what Lluvia thinks, but I don't really care what I think.
It was kind of crazy later on in the episode where Darla,
Yeah.
she like just put it out there that he was in love with her, and I was just like, whoa, these people are in love now? Like, when did that happen?
And how did she find out? Like, she knows
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, it just all moved really fast. But
It seemed a little bit overzealous or jealous kind of thing
Yeah.
going on there. Like Darla's just assuming that they're in love with each other.
And I understand that from the character of Buffy, to be enamored with one person one day and not the next day or maybe the day before. She's like, whatever. She's a teenage girl. But for Angel, like, I don't really understand.
I just can't get my head around that shit. What do you think about Angel or the character of Angel? Are you like, do you dig Angel? Are you an Angel chick or are you a Spike chick? Because that's
I'm a Spike girl.
yeah. I'm a Spike boy. But let's not get into Spike right now.
He's a lot
But-
more charming.
Yeah, but I have to say that I really fucking hate Angel at this point. He's been nothing but a smirky douchebag wearing velvet coats when he doesn't wear a leather one. He just comes off to me as a complete douchebag.
Like I said earlier, leather's for fighting, velvet's for dates.
I just feel like I know so many guys that think that
Word.
they can like save the day, or I don't know, they get all complicated
like
in their
machismo?
heads, or like they're artist. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
Angel
Angel's
literally
like an
can
artist.
save the day.
yeah, he actually can save the day. He chooses not to most of the time. He definitely wears velvet coats pretty well, I guess. I don't know. It seems like the combination is leather jacket and wife beaters and leather coats, V-neck, white shirts. That's all he owns.
So after that, we see several scenes with Buffy at school. She leaves Angel at her house, talking to Giles. Of course, Xander, like he is throughout the entire season, super jealous of Angel, still has that crush on Buffy. Buffy goes back home, and Angel and Buffy have another intimate moment where Angel turns around, and when he comes back into frame, or you see his face, it's revealed, the big reveal, he is a vampire.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
And then he, instead of explaining anything,
Just jumps out the window, makes a
Yes.
face at her that's like totally like, I'm a bad guy, and jumps out the window.
But in a very, I don't know if this was planned, but it looked pretty fucking pathetic how he jumped out the
It
window.
was like more like he was thrown out the window.
He was, like,
or no,
crawling
yeah,
out.
it was like
Very-
I forgot. It was like going down one of those July 4th blow up swimming pools that have a slide on them.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like he was going down one of those head first, but like kind of timid about hitting the water because there's a bunch of rocks underneath or something.
Maybe he didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna be cool.
He's like, this sucks. Yeah, that did not look good.
Yeah, I made the joke earlier that it's like, oh shit, I just came my pants and jumped out the window.
Premature ejaculation runaway. It's done something from like the In-Betweeners or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So after he pathetically crawls away, there's that scene in the school, in the library, where they're all talking about Angel. Again, Xander's so like, oh, you should just kill him. What happens after that, Darla, am I skipping too much?
Well, the three guys failed, so they got executed, and then Darla says something about, let me take care of it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Early in the episode, she develops this plan that you don't know about yet.
Oh.
So the plan is essentially Darla goes to Buffy's house and gets invited in by her stupid-ass mom, who's just like, oh, yeah, come on in. Darla bites.
Well, she comes up with a pretty good explanation for that. Better than any other vampire in the series. She's like, I'm here for a study date with Buffy.
I'm going to ask you guys this. If you're moving to a new place, and I know this was pretty early on in the internet days, don't you do research about the place you're visiting? Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure
maybe.
Yelp wasn't around, but it's like, oh, don't go there. Tons of vampires.
Maybe, but at the same time, number one, there was no internet. And number two...
No, there was internet. It was just...
Yeah, I mean, it was AOL internet. It's not the same thing. It's not like you can Google Sunnydale and find out about vampires. And I don't think anybody that's seen the vampires has lived to tell about it. And number two, there's a lot of strange things that are happening that people are just okay with. Like your school librarian just always being around and stuff. I don't even know a single librarian's name for my entire life. My entire life, I don't know one of their names.
Me neither.
No.
No.
Do you? No? No. Okay. So I think there's certain ideas that we're just allowing here.
Fair point. So, Darla gets invited. She bites Joyce, Buffy's mom, and frames Angel for it. Right when that happens, Darla's timing is impeccable, by the way.
It's impeccable, but also Angel's holding of Joyce was very, very weird. He could have let go at any point. He held her way too long. Put her down on the ground. And why do you keep the vampire face on?
Well, I saw it as that struggle.
Oh,
right?
that he's like, I want some of that old woman blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
for sure.
like in between. Like, am I going to be good or am I going to be bad?
Yeah. Am I going to want to kill or not kill? Yeah.
And that's Angel throughout the entire series and his show. So he gets framed, and instead of, again, explaining anything,
Just one small sentence could have saved him from a lot of looking like an asshole.
and this time he doesn't pathetically crawl through the window, he gets thrown through the window.
Yeah. So I guess more pathetic?
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
this is the first of many times Buffy's house gets fucked up, which I think is a landmark because it's constantly getting fucked up.
I feel bad for her mom having to replace all these windows and all this stuff all the time.
I was thinking about how's she going to explain that to her mom? Like, why is the window broken?
I don't think that ever comes up, but I think every single episode, a window, a tree, a car, something gets fucked up. Like, if they were actually people, they would be so rich. Like, they would have to have a lot of income.
And she's like an art curator?
An art curator? Yeah. She must have amazing insurance. And number one, to be an art curator, you have to kind of have a lot of, like, probably principal cash on hand, right? I mean, you have to be buying paintings constantly. Where the fuck is she getting all this money?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
She was fighting with the IRS on that episode.
She was fighting with the IRS. She's struggling.
Dude, all right, so she never explains that, apparently, how that happens.
Because once again, we just give liberty in this show to a lot of things.
Yeah. Bunch of stuff happens. We end up at the Bronze.
Well, we go to the hospital first
Yeah.
and see your mom with the librarian there.
Yeah, the librarian.
And she shows up. Anyway, then we go to the Bronze.
So Giles, that's the reveal there, where it's like, oh my god, it's Darla, it's not Angel.
Mm-hmm.
So they all meet at the Bronze, which is weird. I don't know how Buffy knew to meet Angel at the Bronze to fight him.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. Once again, bar problems in my head. Number one, they keep on going to this bar that apparently serves alcohol, and they're 16 years old, and I've never heard of that. But number two, what bar can be like broken into at 4 o'clock in the morning to have like a one-on-one fight? Even the black market had better locks than that.
Does Angel live at the Bronze?
I think he might, like in the rafters. He's like the Phantom of the Bronze.
Where is this little spare room
I don't know.
We're gonna have to future episodes. We're gonna have to
Maybe
figure
he has
out
like
where
a hammock up in the rafters. Yeah, we need to create like a map of Sunnydale. The bad part of town is right next to the good part of town. We know that for a fact.
So at the Bronze, Buffy and Angel sort of fight, I guess. Buffy pathetically hunts him with a crossbow. It's like training, but I get the idea that it's like, oh, I don't really want to stake him. I'm gonna use this crossbow.
Him to stake her. That's mean and gross. Whatever.
Move up to the big leagues.
Yeah, she's moving up to the big leagues with Cordelia. Ay.
I'm gonna start telling boys I'm gonna move up to the big leagues.
Whenever you're ready to move up to the big leagues, give me a call. That's actually pretty close to what Cordelia says.
Yeah.
I'm
To
gonna
a
try it,
guy.
see how it works.
Yeah, it might work.
Let us know on a future podcast. So they sort of fight with this crossbow, and then they stop, and we get a bunch of exposition about Angel, which is cool. I thought was cool at the time, but it's a lot of exposition that's just, you don't see it. He just explains that he's a vampire with a soul, and he was super evil, and yada, yada, yada. It's weird in the heat of the moment, I think.
It's a little bit strange because I think that his acting chops got maybe better over time, and they're not very good here. So he's doing kind of a monologue in a poor way. I don't really think that the way it was explained bothered me so much because there wasn't that much time. There's definitely a time confinement here that they had to get everything out, and they were able to really build a mythology on that very well in the future. So this like kind of quick explanation is kind of fleshed out over time now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's super important for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely the first episode where they create the mythology. Like now you can really tell that they've sat down and maybe timelined what's going to happen.
That's true. I didn't think
for
about
like maybe at least the first season and maybe the second as well.
And you also see that connection between, they don't use the term sired, but eventually that's what it's called. Darla, she's like, something like she made him or I made you, which is kind of shitty. Sired sounds way cooler.
Yeah.
So we established the relationship between Angel and Darla and the Master was already established. And then even the Master knows Angel.
It's kind of weird that he makes a point to say that he missed Angel, and then I don't want to jump ahead, but later on he really doesn't have a good relationship with Angel.
He mentioned something like he was supposed to be like my right hand man.
Yeah. And he didn't ever in the rest of the series. That's never really brought up again, and I think that maybe clashes just basically with the idea of Angel becoming a good guy. Maybe, I don't know.
I can argue it that maybe it's the Master wanting somebody as evil as Angelus, somebody as evil as him to not necessarily take over the world, but kill everybody. And he wants that concentrated evil on his side and with him, under him.
He definitely wants him under him. Where are we after that?
So Darla shows up randomly. I think maybe she didn't trust the plan that she made, which was kind of a good plan. The way it was enacted was crappy.
I think her plan was ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous because bringing guns is the smartest thing ever, but she looked so stupid. She looked like Max Payne a little bit, but like a shitty one with a vampire face. And
I still don't get the schoolgirl outfit. Why?
I think that was just whoever was working on. They were like, okay, well,
that's how
she last time.
That's how she would lure guys.
People. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lure guys and probably also pretend that she's the same age as Buffy.
Oh,
it's a lot easier maybe to move around town that way. Who knows?
Okay.
And the thought of if you're going after high school guys being in that kind of schoolgirl outfit, and you see that in the first episode, let's be alone and let's go to the school, or let's do this. I think guys are more apt to be all, okay, let's be all alone.
Why do you always want to go to the school?
Yeah, but if you're a dude, you're like, I don't care where we go. You just you point the direction and I'm there.
That's true. Especially with a 28-year-old woman asking you if you want to go somewhere.
Remember earlier when you were Angel was explaining how much older he was?
Yeah. I'm a lot older than you. I'm 46. Just absolutely realistic in that sense. And just like be like, this is creepy. You still have chubby face because you're young, and I look like I could be your dad.
All right, since we're bringing it up, do you think it was weird that Joyce, Buffy's mom, was so cool that Angel was there when she wasn't? He's obviously older, looks older, and they're alone doing, I don't know, whatever the fuck. I mean, they're not doing anything, but who knows, according to Joyce. And she's like, okay, well, just get out of here then. Like,
Too late to be studying.
That's a little bit weird. I would have been more okay with it if she was Mexican, because that's totally how a Mexican mom would have handled that situation. but a white person mom, that would have been like, oh, you grounded, girl.
How old do you think Angel looks in the show right now?
He definitely at this 30.
I would say 26.
Yeah.
26 and your 16-year-old daughter.
That's
That's
bad.
still really bad.
And mom's all, okay.
I mean, that's statutory rape in California, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. No?
Isn't it here?
No, here it's, I think, 17.
Oh.
Or yeah, so it would be here too. In Kansas, I think it's 15, so you're good.
Oh
If it was in
God.
Kansas, you're good. Or in India.
They should have put Sunnydale in Kansas or India.
There you go. It would have been a way more believable show.
No, it's pretty bad.
I do not like vampires. No, that's racist.
Oh, no.
See, there we go. Okay, so this ends after Darla goes all Max Payne on the pool table, which, again, weird guns, but...
Jumping backwards onto a pool table wouldn't work either, though, because it wouldn't have that sliding effect that she goes for. Like, she wouldn't slide back. She would just land on it, and the pool table would grab her clothes, and she'd be stuck there.
Vampires have this, it's this natural ability just to look cool doing anything they do.
At all.
true.
Like,
Yeah.
Angel fucking jumped from that... He jumped on the pool table, which I thought looked fucking stupid. And then he jumped up onto, I guess, the upper level.
The rafters, the second, yeah.
But, yeah, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It looked a lot like the old O2 bar. Not O2, the what's it called? The OP. That bar looks like the OP in El Paso.
It does.
A little bit.
The bronze
But he
looks
jumps
like the
onto that
OP.
second floor. He looks silly.
We didn't mention what kind of party they were having over there. It was like what is it? Like bug party? They were
Extermination?
Extermination?
Oh, yeah. It was weird.
That's so weird. They were just like grabbing bugs, and that's how you would get a free drink. That is so bizarre.
And like Willow smashes a bug, and she hands Xander her shoe. And I had to ask Lluvia. Well, I had asked both of you guys, but you knew the answer, which is, I was like, why did she just hand him a shoe and say, you want a free drink? I was like, did I miss something? And I had, which is the bugs free drink. That's disgusting. And there's no way that's
I'm surprised you didn't see that with the whole, bar thing.
I
That's
didn't,
right up
but
here.
I will
I
say
know.
that in order to have that party, you would have to get a promotional license. It would be temporary in order to do that, and that would be the only way they'd permit you to trade drinks. And if the health inspection department came in, you'd be fucked. There's no way they would allow you to
That's
do
so
that.
terrible.
Well,
Yeah.
TBAC, if there's already
TBC wouldn't have-
underage people drinking,
that's true.
that, I guess
Yeah.
it's like, whatever, fuck it, free
And
for
the
all.
bouncer's fucking dead, unless it's Owen.
My theory is, and this isn't supported by anything in the show yet, that they're like, oh, it's Sunnydale. It's a vampire town. Let's not even bother. If kids want to drink there, fine. They're going to die anyway.
I think you lean too heavy on this idea that everybody knows that there's vampires. I think that
It happens eventually.
yeah, I think it happens eventually, but they all are so quick to dismiss it still. They're like, weird stuff happens, but they don't go like, yeah, this place is fucking overrun with vampires. We're all dying. This is not cool. I mean, in a small town, even in California, you would have maybe, 300 people at that school? And they kill 200, so graduating class would have been 7 people. Whatever.
Maybe that's why they can afford houses, because it's so cheap because everybody dies.
Nah, then maybe that's right. And then the contractor that lives there is just I'm really cheap because I have so much work. Just supply and demand's not a problem for him.
And I know I said we weren't going to jump too far forward, but that might explain why Xander gets he's head contractor
So
after a
quickly.
year.
Yeah, Because they're like, you're the only one that's lived through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I was going to say graduating class would just be like Xander, Buffy, and Willow.
Yeah, that's it.
A bunch of vampires if they want to show up and do whatever.
You know what I realized, though? I want to bring this up because she's in the season, but Harmony is the Girl Scout in the Adams family that the little girl girl tells to fuck off. I didn't know that till I resaw the Adams family with my girlfriend the other day, and I was like, hey, that's Harmony.
And she's
like,
all,
are
what?
Are they made out of real Girl Scout cookies? And she goes, what?
So, Darla dies. Angel stakes her.
I mean, this was a better death than the pilot, but still a pretty shitty death.
Yeah.
Like a death scene. As far as they had no money for it. She didn't dust or anything. She just gets stabbed.
Didn't she get dusted?
You hear the dust.
You hear the dust, but you don't see it.
Oh, okay.
She gets stabbed by Angel in the back,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty fucked up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like his ex everything.
The love of his life.
Well,
His old life?
a love of a life.
Okay.
A life where you don't have a soul.
Right.
So maybe
Same.
he never really felt anything for her because his soul wasn't present when he actually loved her, and when his soul comes back, it never really had that experience with her, so she means really nothing to him.
But you could tell it hurt him a lot, in a sense, when he stabbed her. Because the way he looked at her, he looked at her and she looked at him, and then she was just mortified. Her last words were, Angel.
Oh. Yeah, true that.
So, yeah, she's dead. She dies.
She
She dies.
And then the last scene after that, we end again at the Bronze. Super Bronze heavy episode.
Yeah.
Everything
it
is at the Bronze. I guess they killed all the bugs. They're back. Everyone's all dancing, hanging out, and Buffy and Angel share this kiss. Should kiss, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make that up.
It was a sloppy one, too.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, it was all over the place, man.
But what I liked about that part, it was kind of weird. But we end on this note where we don't really know the state of Buffy and Angel's relationship right now. Like, the kiss meant something, whether or not it was good or not, that's,
it's like a real situation where, like, you have a kiss, but number one, there's no phone, so you don't get that immediate text back, like, hey, I had a great time tonight.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, I won't know until next fucking weekend, or the next time I see this guy, what that meant. And then we have to have a conversation that's going to be super awkward, and he barely says anything anyway, and he's 46, so this is really hard.
Yeah. So that's the episode.
Well,
Yeah.
no, we forgot to mention when they were kissing, earlier when they kissed, he turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
And then the second time, he didn't turn into a vampire. And he kind of mentioned something. She mentions, like, sorry, that I know that was painful. And then you see that her cross, like, left a burn mark on his
Which
chest.
is, that's actually a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
So
glad
he
you
went
brought
through
that
that
up.
pain for her.
Yeah, which is a metaphor for, like, his whole relationship for her and the rest of the show.
The cross that he gave
Damn,
her.
you are the perfect
So
person to have on this
Yeah.
episode.
So I'm really emotional.
Soup's emotion.
We just kind of like, emotional stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Angel was like, whatever, want to get my dick wet.
Xander's cool. Angel's wearing velvet.
We're all like, Xander, Xander, Xander.
There's this whole tension, too, between Xander and Willow. I feel so bad for her in this episode because he's just, like, making comments about not being jealous at all. And then Willow's just kind of staring at him like,
I think
give me a chance.
This is the first episode where Willow says you have gotten the sense before that she kind of has this crush on Xander, but she hasn't really said anything till this episode.
Yeah. I think that whole dynamic is really important for, like, the rest of the series, but really brought up a lot more in season 2, where she starts really going after him. I think that Xander comes off... I used to think, like, oh, poor Xander, he's the one that should have ended up with Buffy, and now upon rewatching it, I'm just kind of like, no, he kind of doesn't belong with her.
No.
He doesn't really fit with her. He should have... I don't know, because even reading the comic books, in the comic books, they kind of, like, allude to the fact that they should have been together, but they don't... I don't really know if that's true anymore.
I always thought of it that Xander is the type of guy she should need, but not the type of guy she wants. And I've thought of it, she's a superhero. You need to pair a superhero with a superhero. So Buffy, Angel, Spike, Angel, Buffy and Xander, that doesn't work.
I guess you might be right, but traditionally that's not true until like this last year when Superman hooked up with Wonder Woman. And that wasn't until like the New 52. Before that, he was with Lois Lane, Mary Jane and Peter Parker, essentially the Green Lantern and whoever he was with, the Flash and whoever he was with, Batman and all those bitches that he was with. But I guess he was with Catwoman and Talia al Ghul.
But I think if you're talking about a relationship and people being on par with each other and equals, like not so much as like, historically throughout comic books. I think it's more even if I have the potential to save the world and I have the potential to save the world.
Oh,
so
works.
if you have that potential and all your partner is doing is just going to work and works at construction, it's going to create issues with the relationship and it will never work.
Hey, man, what about Riley? We'll get to Riley.
Yeah.
Ew.
Ugh,
You're not a Riley fan? I love Riley.
He's a good dude.
He had chest for days.
Yeah, he has a huge chest.
Damn, Eddie.
I know, man. Yeah, so I'm having a kid in about a month and a half.
With the girl though?
Nah, we're adopting.
Okay.
It's me and actually it's me and you. We're adopting a kid.
Oh, okay.
Little Prose baby.
Prose baby.
Oh man, I gotta say that I really enjoyed this episode, and I don't really remember this episode to the fact that I was wrong about the Master only having 3 episodes. I didn't include this one, and when you said he sends a 3 after him, I never rewatched this episode that much. I guess completely don't remember this. Well, I remember it. I do remember it, but I didn't remember this one as much as the other ones.
This is one I rewatched when I would watch the first season again, only because I would really get tired of the Monster of the Week. So I'd be like, Monster of the Week, I'm just going to watch the Master episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Right on.
It was an episode with a lot of information.
Yeah, a lot of exposition.
So much, yeah.
Once again, just kind of laying the groundwork for, once again, the future of this mythology and the Whedon universe.
Speaking of the Master, how do you guys feel about his vampire charisma, I guess I could call it?
He seems like a pedophile.
Yeah, he's a little bit flamboyant.
He's flamboyant, which I like, but that's cool when he's in love with Angelus. I'm not sure if it's cool when he's in love with this 6-year-old vampire that was just turned.
It's weird when you pair the Master, who is
makes him more evil, that's for
super
sure.
evil, and you pair him with this kid. I guess that works, right?
We just finished doing Arrested Development. Imagine Tobias Funke as the Master. That would really work for me. Living in one of Michael's houses.
In little shorts.
In little shorts. The never nude.
The Master
awesome.
is a never nude.
Where the hell did he get that fucking onesie, leather getup? Like, is leather just like what vampires get
There's
given?
a vampire leather store.
It's open only at night.
And only in Sunnydale.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's super weird. And I also think, just thinking about the Master's powers, or the fact that, so he knows a lot about vampire lore. He brings his anointed child. He brings upon the 3. Like, he has connections in the vampire world. And I think that's super interesting, and maybe they should have or didn't have the opportunity to use that more. But he's like the vampire every vampire respects, it seems like. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing is that they don't really push the fact that he's so powerful either, like strength-wise. I mean, he's a fucking master.
Oh, he's trapped in
Bader.
his fucking whatever the fuck he's trapped in.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
didn't know he was trapped. I always thought, like, why doesn't he just go fight Buffy? But
I think that the whole thing is that he has to feed on her in order to free himself because of that ritual failing in the first episodes.
That's right.
And that's how he gets out, because I remember I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I do love the fact that the Master quoted Spider-Man's uncle, Ben Parker.
Oh, yeah. You pointed that out, and I was like, what the hell? Which is another, throwback to a teenager having to deal with all this. But it was kind of a backwards a backwards version of it, because he's like saying, like, man, being an evil fuckhead it's got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's weird. Look, I wasn't sure how to take that at first. Is that Is he being smarmy? Is he like...
I would imagine not. I mean, we're creating this whole like mythology where the vampires have like a set hierarchy. I would imagine that being the master has a lot of responsibility. He has great power.
I don't want to get too much into this because I sure we could fill another 140 episodes talking about this, but the master feels like the type of vampire that would be in True Blood, where it's like this royalty almost and everybody's respected. They go away from that, I think, in Buffy.
Yeah, because it's actually a good show as opposed to True Blood. I'm sorry. That show got fucking stupid. Yeah, I could see that, though. The hierarchy thing does work. I was thinking more of Kindred the Embrace or like the Vampire Masquerade kind of like D&D kind of thing, which was a TV show that I was like on in 1986 that I watched because I'm super old.
I don't know about that.
Have you ever heard of Kindred the Embrace?
Mm-mm.
No, it was literally one season, 10 episodes long. Pretty good for its time, but it was kind of like the 90210 vampire shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never
Kind
saw
of
it.
dark shadows for our generation, or maybe our generation, I guess. I don't really know.
All right.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's not. It's not good. It's got a lot of the same actors though.
As Buffy?
Mm-hmm. A lot of the actors that play ugly vampires
Mm-hmm.
play them a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Define ugly vampires.
What was the guy from part 1? Jude?
We call him the Master Junior.
Master Junior?
Luke.
He's been a vampire in 4 different vampire shows that I know.
So you mean he's an ugly dude and he plays vampires?
He every time he plays a vampire, he's the ugly vampire. Like in Kindred the Embrace, he's one of these vampires. There's different clans in Kindred the Embrace, and in Bloodline, what's it called, Vampire the Masquerade as well. Certain vampires are pretty. Certain vampires have like psychic powers. Certain vampires are really ugly and have to live underground. And he's always one of those. Mm-hmm. And so is the other guy that plays the vampire during her trials that she gets locked in the basement with and doesn't have powers. He was also in Kindred the Embraced and also plays the ugly vampire and also plays an ugly vampire in this one.
You know, I think's an ugly vampire.
Who?
Darla.
I think that the makeup is
ugly.
They made a ugly job on her.
Because she's so like sexual.
Yeah.
Like, they made her like she just looks so
I think the first season
gross.
really kind of dropped the ball on making the vampires look like sexy kind of thing. And not maybe drop the ball, but they do a better job later.
Yeah, Spike's pretty sexy vampire.
Yeah, and even when he has the makeup on. And even Darla in Angel looks a lot better than she does in this episode.
The thing is with Darla, I think they made it a point of making her look a lot different than... I mean, she looks a lot different than Danny Trejo vampire and the Undertaker vampire. She looks worse, and she looks a lot more pale.
Yeah, maybe as they were trying to make her look older, like
the
closer to the Master.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh...
Do you think
it's
the
because
master? You guys think the Master can even turn into a human anymore?
He's so disgusting. I don't understand why his face is so red.
Maybe
like,
he doesn't because he
it's
still
blood.
has that like...
all the time.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
he's
had
drained
so
much blood.
It's like a
Oh my
kid that
God.
eats like 7 popsicles.
It's like when I eat hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Master just ate a shit ton of hot Cheetos.
He's like, it's all I eat besides blood. I dip them in the blood.
Yeah, me too.
The blood of the innocent. It's just like in high school when they put nacho cheese.
You
He
know-
has one of those, but with blood in it.
You know what? I'm thinking that I was like, that's so disgusting, but I'm more disgusted about the hot Cheetos than I am about like the blood. The cheese and hot Cheetos is kind of grossing me out. The blood,
Whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty funny.
Can we talk about Angel now? So
You mean
we
Fat
have
Angel?
in this episode.
Talking about bones? No.
No
Oh.
bones. No bones. So before he was kind of this smirky douchebag, I guess you would
the
say.
change where he stops being so smirky. Like Joss Whedon starts going, stop fucking smiling.
He seems broody, right? He's
Yeah.
finally, it seems like he's the Angel we know, and I mean,
Have
not,
come to love.
not for you, Lluvia, but
Yeah.
not love.
have come to put up with enough to have his own TV show.
Can I ask you why you don't like Angel so much? Just
I have to kind of think about it because I
Is it
tried
because
to
you like
forget.
Spike so much that you don't want her to be with Angel? Kind of like picking one over the other? Or is it because you just think he's a douche like I do?
I think he's a douche, but I think it's like a relationship thing. Like, he just seems...
Bad for Buffy?
Yeah, super bad for Buffy.
And he won't go away.
Exactly, he won't go away. And that makes me so mad because it's so selfish. Just makes me angry. And he's kind of hot, but I still don't like him.
Right on.
So just in this episode, or at least the first season that we've seen so far, why do you think Angel is around?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, they establish it later, but he
Did they
doesn't
give him any
act
motivation
like him.
right now?
I think the motivation is he's enamored by her, and that was the motivation. They like go back and recap and say like he saw her and he fell in love with her instantaneously. It's hard to fucking believe that, being that I'm 33 and 16-year-olds bug the shit out of me. But if you're 250, I would imagine it'd be 10 times as bad.
But then again, and this is something they establish later on as well, that vampires are always enamored by the Slayer. So it may not even be himself that's enamored. It's the fact that he's a vampire as well.
Like enamored in the fact that they want to kill her.
I think it's that, but since he has a soul, maybe he doesn't understand these feelings and they turn sexual.
Damn. Some psychology Jeffrey going on. I like that. Want to jump to the kill count, man?
Sure.
All right.
So this was an episode where Buffy didn't kill anybody.
At all?
No.
Anybody else killed?
Yeah, there was 4 vampire deaths.
4 vampire deaths. Who were they?
Darla killed the 3, and Angel killed Darla.
That's right.
But it's weird. Vampires that are killed, that's not Buffy.
Vampire on vampire. That's what that was.
I knew you guys would come back and throw that in my face.